All right, good evening, everyone. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in the annual notice of the meeting schedule as set forth in Resolution R-23-277, adopted by the Town Council at its regular meeting of November 21st, 2023, advertised in the official newspaper on December 21st, 2023, December 28th, 2023, and January 4th, 2024. Posted on the bulletin boards outside the municipal building and has remained continuously posted there. In addition, a copy of the annual notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Township Clerk. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock? Absent. Counselor Price Abrams?
Present.
Counselor Russo? Absent. Counselor Schlager?
Here.
Counselor Terry?
Here.
Mayor Spiller?
Present. Thank you. We'll move the agenda with flexibility. First, we have been presented the minutes for February 13th, 2024. Are there any corrections or additions? I so move.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. I know as we begin today, we do have the Montclair Ambulance Unit with us and want to come forward and just share with us some of the wonderful things that you guys do to serve this community. Really appreciate that. Some of the challenges, of course, that we all face together and ways we can work on that. I just want to say as we begin, kind of knowing and seeing where so many townships are throughout the region, specifically with getting the service that they need. You guys are providing an invaluable service to this township, and I know including the surrounding area. So I just want to start by saying thank you. And certainly I know that we partnered in the past, whether that's with vehicles or space or other pieces. We certainly want to make sure we do all we can. I know there's some opportunities maybe around insurance and some other things that we can really help make a difference in your budget, and also being very mindful of our the tax dollar budgets that we look at as well. But certainly I think there's room there for us to continue to grow and continue to support one another. So I just want to, again, say thank you. And with that, Mr. Lepola, would you like to add any comments?
I'll reiterate what you said, and also say that on our agenda tonight is a resolution awarding part of our opioid settlement funding, in which we're giving a $100,000 grant to the ambulance squad. So they provide a vital service on a variety of fronts, and we are very, very happy to work with them and hope to forge an even closer relationship in the coming months.
We'll turn it over to you, please.
Thank you very much for having us. I'm Chief James Mazza of the Montclair Ambulance Unit, and we have a lot of great news.
Just making sure I can hear you. There you go. Thank you.
All right. I'm Chief James Mazza of the Montclair Ambulance Unit, and we have a lot of great news to share with you. This is the state of our unit. Montclair Ambulance Unit has been Montclair's sole 911 ambulance service since 1953. I hope my talk tonight sheds light on what it takes to ensure that an ambulance gets to your door when you call 911 in a medical emergency. We have been part of the Montclair community for 71 years, but we are not a department of Montclair Township. We are an independent 501c3 nonprofit. While the people of Montclair see us as an essential service, the state of New Jersey does not. While municipalities are required to provide and fund police and fire services, they are not required to provide EMS. And New Jersey isn't alone in this. Only 13 or 14 states, nobody really knows the number for sure, designate EMS as an essential service. We have evolved a great deal, just like Montclair, from an agency that didn't allow women to work on the ambulances to a highly diverse staff that's 50% female and 35% people of color. An independent 501c3 nonprofit agency, Montclair Ambulance Unit provides the skilled, reliable, professional 911 emergency medical services that residents need, expect, and deserve. Our primary service areas are Montclair 24/7, 365, and Cedar Grove from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. We also provide mutual aid EMS support to more than 20 neighboring communities last year. Montclair Township provides our fuel and leases us our building for a nominal fee. While I wish we didn't have to bill, that we could provide ambulance service to the people of Montclair for free, EMS is not free. A new ambulance costs $350,000, and staffing and operating a single ambulance for a year costs $500,000. Then we have all of the other expenses that come with running nearly 5,000 911 calls for service. Our budget for 2024 will come in just under $2 million. Roughly 3/4 of our budget will come from insurance billing, and that covers our staffing. The other 25% comes from fundraising. Your support of our fundraising campaigns covers everything from building maintenance to medical supplies to ambulance repairs and everything else every other nonprofit has to pay for. We've built a terrific team. Our 4 ambulances are staffed around the clock by 45+ paid career emergency medical technicians. 1 to 2 crews of EMTs are stationed at our Walnut Street station around the clock every day of the year, and 1 crew of EMTs is staffed in Cedar Grove from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. I have a great team of EMS leaders around me. Our leadership team is made up of 6 highly trained emergency managers. All are EMTs. We have on staff 2 Deputy Municipal Office of Emergency Management coordinators, 3 New Jersey Task Force 1 members, 5 New Jersey EMS Task Force members with 6 additional applications pending, 1 New Jersey Certified Emergency Manager, 1 FEMA Advanced Public Information Officer, 1 Master's in Business Administration, 1 Master's in Emergency Management, 1 Master's in Public Health, and 5 bachelor degrees. We also have 5 New Jersey EMS Task Force apparatus on site. As an agency, we are extremely data focused, and we believe in data transparency. We make every strategic decision, from staffing to how many ambulances we have to what kind of events we will cover based on data. Some factors we consider are call volume, the busiest times of day, the nature of our dispatches, and the needs of our patients. Of course, we never release patient identifying information. Last year, we projected a 20% increase in our call volume. It actually turned out to be 25%. And we developed a program to increase our staffing by 20% during our busiest times, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. weekdays and all day on Saturday. We applied for a grant from Partners for Health Foundation, and they granted us $80,000 per year for 2 years to help us expand our service to accommodate this growth in demand. Without the funding, we would be unable to meet the ever-growing demand for ambulance service in Montclair, and we are so grateful. In 2023, our 911 ambulance call volume went up 25% to more than 4,700 911 calls. That's an average of 13 911 calls a day. Just yesterday, we responded to 16 calls in 12 hours. We respond to every type of 911 medical call, from a sore toe to a cardiac arrest. We handle strokes, chest pain, car accidents, falls, and illnesses. We are still handling calls for COVID, flu, and every other illness that's passed around in February. Here are some of our numbers. In 2023, we responded to dispatches for 1,090 general medical calls for a sick person, 436 falls, 270 motor vehicle crashes, 265 intoxicated patients, 116 traumatic injuries, and 58 cardiac arrests. For the first time in several years, we did not deliver any babies in 2023. No 2 shifts are the same, and we never know what we're going to get. We are in a dangerous business. Last year, we reported 6 incidents of assaults by patients against our EMTs. We secured grant funding from the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey to provide crucial self-defense training and ballistic equipment for our EMTs. We do not provide non-emergent transports to doctors' offices or rides home from the hospital. We are a 100% 911 agency. On average, we transport an unhoused person every day. Last year, approximately 1,000 of our responses were for patients who relied on Medicaid for their health coverage. In August 2023, we began providing 911 ambulance service to Cedar Grove from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. We did several great fundraising events with local businesses, including Montclair Brewery, Cycle Bar Montclair, Cilantro and Lime Taco Truck, and the Walnut Street Fair, where we had a dunk tank outside our building, and the deputy chief and I were dunked so many times that we had to take the next 2 days off to recuperate. While I'm willing to do it, it's hard to believe that I have to be dunked 1,000 times to raise money to fix an ambulance. In 2023, we provided emergency planning and/or standbys for 14 high school football games, more than 70 Wellmont shows, events, and concerts, Montclair Pride, Jazz Fest, the Walnut Street Fair, numerous weather events, and the funeral services for 2 firefighters tragically killed in Newark. We participated in several events with the police and fire departments, the Garden Club, the Montclair History Center, and Van Vleck House, including Mr. Bunny's Springtime Fun, the Halloween Scarecrow Contest, and Trunk or Treat, where we decorated one of our vehicles as a little scary item. We have big plans for 2024. We expect to respond to over 5,000 911 ambulance calls this year. We have a new training center in the former United Way building on Fullerton Street. We hope to train 500 people in CPR, first aid, babysitting, and other important certifications. These training center classes are fundraisers for MAU. We have a $350,000 fundraising goal to make ends meet. Here's an update on our fundraising efforts. Last year, we raised nearly $320,000 in individual contributions, grants, events, and other fundraising efforts. We received nearly 1,000 individual contributions from Montclair residents like all of you. Thank you for your support. We literally couldn't do it without you. Your support makes a big difference right here in Montclair. Our fundraising priorities for 2024 are building maintenance. We have nearly an $8,000 plumbing repair coming up in our 118-year-old building. It has a lot of character, and character is expensive. Replacing a dead ambulance. We put $40,000 into it last year until it finally gave up this month, dropping our fleet from 5 to 4. A new ambulance costs about $350,000. Safety equipment upgrades, specifically to our stretcher systems, which come out to about $70,000 per ambulance, and other expenses that every agency has to pay. We do have to buy toilet paper after all. How can you help? Respond to our spring fund drive letter. Challenge a friend to a head-to-head fundraising challenge on our website at montclairems.org. Visit our website to make an online contribution. Host a fundraising event with a local business. Follow us on social media at Montclair EMS and share our content. Sign up for a CPR, first aid, or babysitting course. Help us get our message out. Tell your friends why you support MAU. We are working hard on advocacy for the EMS profession as a whole and ensuring that lawmakers understand the state of EMS in New Jersey. We feel that EMS should be designated an essential service, that EMS should have access to federal, state, and local funding, and that the state's Medicaid reimbursement rate should be increased. We have met with Congresswoman Sherrill and her team, State Assemblywoman Calazos Gill and her team, Essex County Commissioner Brandon Gill, Mayor Spiller, and several Essex County government officials, including the county health officer and county administrator. I get the same questions pretty frequently, so I thought I'd just go ahead and answer them now. People ask us, why is your call volumes up? Several factors are at play here. During COVID, people were not going to their regular checkups, and chronic issues like high blood pressure weren't being treated by doctors. Those untreated conditions are becoming an issue today. The population of Montclair is increasing, so the demand for ambulance service is also going up. Montclair's population of unhoused people relies on our service more frequently than those with safe and secure housing. And every EMS agency across New Jersey is feeling the impact of the increased call volume. This means that our neighbors are reaching out for assistance more often, and if we have an ambulance available, we provide that assistance. Can't you get federal or state funding? Unfortunately, EMS agencies like ours are only eligible for 1% of the federal funding that fire departments qualify for, and there is no dedicated funding on the federal side for EMS. The total amount of federal funding we are eligible for is less than $6.5 million nationwide. At the state level, EMS is not designated as an essential service, and there is no state funding that would help us to run our agency. New Jersey's reimbursement rate for when patients who rely on Medicaid are transported was set in 1994 and is only $58 plus $1.50 a mile. It hasn't increased in 30 years. I was still in grammar school. Depending on who you ask, we are either 49th or 50th in the country for how much we can get reimbursed from Medicaid. The heartbreaking part is that we lose the most money when we serve the patients who need us the most. Also, because we bill and pay our staff, we are not eligible for the state training fund that provides free EMT training. We can only hire people who are already trained and certified as EMTs. We have actually been rejected for grants from private foundations for some crazy reasons. For example, we've been turned down for grants because we don't serve one specific underserved population. Rather, we serve everyone who calls 911 for an ambulance equally. It pains me that we can be declined for funding because we serve everyone equally. Residents wonder, don't my taxes pay for you? While Montclair Township is supportive of MAU and provides our fuel and the use of the building for a nominal amount, we are an independent agency. Montclair Ambulance Unit receives no operational funding from Montclair Township or residents' taxes. We are not part of the township or the fire department. Do you take volunteers? We will absolutely take volunteers who are already EMTs. Because we aren't eligible for the state training fund, we can't train people who aren't EMTs. But yes, if you're an EMT and would like to volunteer at MAU, we'd be happy to talk. Do you bill for your service? We do bill patients' insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid for ambulance service. Billing ensures that our staff of 45 career professional EMTs get paid, and we can fulfill our mission of providing prompt, skilled, and reliable 911 emergency medical service to our community. While I wish we didn't have to bill, that we could provide ambulance service to the people of Montclair for free, EMS is not free. An ambulance costs $350,000, and staffing and operating a single ambulance for a year costs $500,000. Why are you covering Cedar Grove? Many other communities ask us for help regularly, whether it's for 1 or 2 ambulance calls during a busy day, to cover a large event in town, or to help alleviate the increasing demand for ambulance service. The Township of Cedar Grove opened a request for proposals for ambulance service. We won the bid, and we entered a 3-way partnership with their township and Cedar Grove Ambulance and Rescue Squad to provide service from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. It's an example of how we can partner with neighboring towns and their EMS agencies to ensure that their residents get uninterrupted emergency medical services. Those partnerships can be a blueprint for future shared service agreements that increase the sustainability of the entire EMS system. Why aren't you all volunteers? EMS in New Jersey was founded on a rich history of volunteerism, and most of our EMTs, myself included, have worked as a volunteer EMT in other agencies. Montclair Ambulance Unit hired its first paid administrator in the 1960s, and by the 1980s was operating as a hybrid agency with both career and volunteer EMTs on staff. Today, only 2 of our EMTs work as volunteers. Initial EMT training is a 210-hour state-sponsored course. Then, those who pass the class take the rigorous National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians exam to become certified. Nationally, only 67% of the NREMT exam, 67% of people pass the NREMT exam on their first try. Most EMS agencies require a 12-hour shift on the ambulance, either during the day or an overnight. In 2024, with many households requiring 2 full-time incomes, there is no time for this significant time commitment. Ask yourself if you, or any of your friends, could find time for 210 hours of training, pass a rigorous national exam, and then work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every Tuesday for free. For our EMTs, this is their job, their career, and it puts food on their tables and pays their bills. All around us, volunteer agencies are closing their doors or at least cutting back on their services because recruiting and retaining new volunteer EMTs is untenable. Increased call volume and increased operating costs require expansion, not contraction, and agencies must be positioned to scale up. Why do you do mutual aid? Because we only respond to 911 calls. We can't predict or control when many calls come in at the same time. For 71 years, we have provided mutual aid support to neighboring towns when they needed another ambulance. And most other towns do the same for us. In 2023, we served 22 other communities, from a wildfire in West Milford to nearly 400 other dispatches all over Essex and neighboring counties. In summary, I've been in EMS since I was a sophomore in college. The rest of our team has worked as volunteers or career EMTs for many agencies across Essex County. While our job isn't for everyone, it's in our blood. It is as rewarding and fulfilling as it is challenging. We welcome you to come visit us, tour our historic station house, and meet our team. Maybe we can plan a fundraiser together. My email address is chief@montclairems.org. We know that this is an election year, and we remain, as a nonprofit, apolitical. We assume that anyone who cares about this community recognizes the essential role MAU plays in Montclair, and we invite every public servant to discuss how our organization runs, how we support the township and the people of Montclair, and how we can forge strong partnerships moving forward. In my nearly 2 decades of EMS experience, I have had the opportunity to work several very different EMS organizations, and it is my opinion that the MAU team is the best, most professional, strategic, creative, and high-functioning team I have ever been privileged to be part of. Thank you for inviting the Montclair Ambulance Unit to speak this evening. We are grateful. After all, we literally couldn't provide EMS without your support. Thank you.
Well, again, I'll just start by saying thank you, and certainly having had those conversations and asked some of those very questions. Appreciate you guys sharing that with the public at large. And I think a lot of those things are surprises, especially when you consider the state and at the federal level, it's not considered an essential service. It's kind of shocking, but that's all the more reason why we all have to work together to make sure the services are provided. And we thank you again for doing that. Any questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman Schlager.
I also send you a big thank you. You've been to my house twice over the last 31 years, and everyone was extremely professional, and I was so grateful that you were there to help us on those 2 occasions. So I had a question about the hospitals in the area. Do you get any support from Hackensack? Mountainside is a Hackensack hospital, which is a huge conglomerate across the state. Do you get any support from the hospitals and those? I don't know what St. Barnabas is or St. Joe's, but so I was wondering about that.
So Getting support from the hospitals, a lot of the hospitals do provide their own EMS services. They typically will do transport, non-emergent transport or critical care transport. We have a very strong relationship with Mountainside Hospital. We have done some of their CPR training, and we're exploring some other opportunities where we can partner with Mountainside. And I would say we have a very strong relationship with them. They've donated for some of our fundraisers and things of that nature.
And also, do you have, I'm sure, I know they're expensive, but do you have somebody to help you with grant applications per bono or any
To my
any
right-
support?
To my right is Kristen Ryan. She's our Director of Development and Public Information Officer.
Oh, great.
So she handles grant writing, fundraising, as well as any public information or outreach.
Great.
And to my left is Deputy Chief Michael Craig. All the data I've given you, I have Michael to thank for. He crunches the numbers and helps run the operations.
Terrific. Thank you.
Councilman Terry?
Again, thank you for your work and the service you provide. I can remember as a police officer back many years ago, we used to do a lot of the buggy lugging ourselves because we had station wagons then. So I know how difficult that it could be. So thank you very much. I have two questions. When you charge somebody, you say you charge their insurance. Is it a standard charge, or are there different prices for different types of incidents?
So that's a great question. There is a standard charge. There's a flat rate charge to load a person into the ambulance as well as per mile. If somebody refuses medical attention, there is a different charge, much lower than if they go to the hospital. And then there's other charges based on if medication is administered or if they're getting oxygen versus not getting oxygen. That would be the charge set that we have.
And do people get a choice of what hospital that they want to go to?
Great question. That within reason. So there will be a few times where we'll put closest hospital restrictions. So if we have inclement weather, a large storm moving through, we might say we need to go only to the closest hospital. There's other times where we may suggest a person go to, say, a trauma center or a burn center or a pediatric center based on the severity of whatever we've been called for or the age of the patient. But we will typically go, from Montclair, we will go to Mountainside, St. Barnabas, Claremont, St. Joe's, East Orange General, all the hospitals in Newark. We'll pretty much go anywhere, and with a valid reason, supervisor's approval, we will go further than that. You know, if somebody has a very special circumstance, we'll go up to Hackensack or Morristown or Overlook. Again, incredibly special circumstances as opposed to the generic 911 call.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thank you, Mayor, and really very, very much thanks for what you do and for coming to educate all of us and the public listening. So, you know, the thoughts just have come. One is, so someone dials 911 for an emergency. If they were living somewhere else, they might go to, in other words, how does it get to you versus some other service that provides this?
So, not to get too nitty-gritty, but when somebody dials 911, the call gets routed to a public safety answering point. If it's a Montclair call, the Montclair Police Department would then dispatch us to the call.
I see.
Or Montclair will get a call from another municipality saying, do you have an ambulance available? They will call us and ask if we are available, and if we are, and we can send somebody, we
Okay,
would.
so the police are the central first 911 responders, and then it's directed, so I see. Okay, thank you. The other is, you know, you spoke about how a relationship with Cedar Grove happened to come about. And I think expanding and all that, it's fraught, you know, in certain ways. You'd have to have a bigger budget and more people, but maybe there's efficiencies. And so is that something you've kind of grappled with and considered other towns?
I think there's no one-size-fits-all piece that would solve the crisis EMS face as a whole. We are open to collaborating on either a more expansive policy and regionalization. We're open to just helping them when they need help. It really comes down to what any individual community needs and what they would see that they need and how we can best assist them.
So ultimate question, so what is your annual budget?
We are finalizing that number, should be finalized this week, but as I said, it's approximately just shy of $2 million.
And that's annual, right?
Yes, sir.
And so with the Cedar Grove, are they paying you guys?
Yes, sir.
And what's that amount?
That would be $30,000 a year.
So nothing compared to the amount of services that you provide them.
We're getting assistance in the form of space. We'd have to rent space there, obviously, if we weren't receiving that assistance. The Cedar Grove Rescue Squad is leasing us an ambulance for $1 a year. I think it's a relative amount. It's not, I would say it's not nothing.
And in your location, I remember a couple of years ago, there's some issues with the pipes and the structure. Has that been taken care of?
There was a sinkhole there last year that was taken care of. The structure still probably does need some addressing. The plumbing problem looks like it's a pipe issue as well, out to the main.
And so one of the things with Ms. Talley was there's a potential possibility of being able to use CDBG money because you're in an area that qualifies for CDBG money. But I think there was the need of maybe if you guys were able to be a polling station. That was one of the conversations we had with her. So I think Mr. LaPola, or there's something to look into, because then that's a considerable amount of funds that could help with the structure of the building.
I believe at one point we were a polling station and it was removed because we're not ADA compliant.
Well, that's the other part, right?
Right.
How do we make you ADA compliant to be able to be in that position? Yeah,
It's 118 years old. That probably would be a big cost prohibitive, is my guess.
yeah.
Any other questions?
$2 million budget.
Well, again, I'll just say this, thank you. Thank you for the service that you guys all do, and really, I know the residents rely on you, obviously, in the time of most need, oftentimes. We'll all keep a listen out. Let us know if you deliver any babies in the upcoming year. We'll keep an eye for that one. All right?
We absolutely will.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
Okay, moving forward on our agenda, we have Ordinance O-24-03, which is an ordinance to amend Chapter 327, Vehicles and Traffic, Township and prohibit stopping and standing on North Willow Street on Bloomfield Avenue to Glenridge, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Without objection, I'm going to open for a hearing. Is there objection? Is there anyone wishing to be heard on this matter? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the hearing. Anyone else colleagues wishing to speak on this?
Yeah, so what does this mean when you said prohibit stopping and standing at all times on North Willow Street? Is this,
It means, I know you didn't have the benefit of hearing it last time. Right now, as you may know, it is not allowed, but we don't have the ordinance, so it is, police cannot enforce what we already have right now. So by passing the ordinance, they can enforce what we de facto have listed.
right, so I'm saying people standing on the street or,
No, cars.
oh, the cars,
yeah.
so basically,
No stopping and standing.
okay, so no double parking.
Yeah, or like stopping in your car, and stopping there. Yeah.
Obstructing traffic.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yep.
That's hard to do, there's a lot of parking there, no
Any
parking.
other comments on this one? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Herlock absent. Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Ordinance O-24-04, which is an ordinance amending O-20-07, creating certain offices, positions, and employments in the Township of Montclair, County of Essex, and fixing the salary ranges thereof, and I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Without objection, I'm going to open hearing on this. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. Any comments, questions from my colleagues?
so again, I think this is something I probably missed from last time. So is this adding a paralegal, or is this what are we doing here?
Correct. Exactly.
So we're adding a paralegal to the law department.
Correct.
Okay. And do we currently have one?
We don't.
No, we do not.
Okay. Man, I don't want to say her name. So what is Camilla?
Assistant, not a paralegal, administrative assistant.
Okay. And what's the salary range?
on here.
Yeah, I believe it's listed.
Which is consumer to their experience will depend on the range that we get them.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
No.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock, absent. Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo, absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. All right. Next, I'm going to open it up to any public comment on agenda items. Please go over to the clerk, sign in. If you've got a comment on an agenda item, please list the agenda item you'd like to speak to. And please keep your comments to 2 minutes, please.
Hi, guys. Eric D'Amato, 25 Norwood Avenue. It's a very small group tonight, so I will be collegial. I just wanted to ask about R-24-065, which is the non-public bidding award to the government strategy group on reviewing our PSE&G bills. It just is an interesting item to me. It's $32,900. And if you, Mr. Manager, could just walk us through it a little bit? Because I would just say, first of all, I would totally do it for 32 on the nose.
Okay.
But if you could just tell us what it
Sure.
is and what it's about.
We currently have on the books an outstanding balance with PSE&G of $972,144.20 as of the end of 2023. There's been an ongoing dispute, whatever. It was brought to my attention by someone who happened to see the huge pile of unopened bills. So I decided that no matter what, and this has been dealt with by various people over the years, that it was time to resolve this issue once and for all. I'm not saying we owe all the money. We may owe part of the money, but ultimately we have to sit down, figure out how much is owed, and negotiate with PSE&G to at least resolve this once and for all. And GSG, there's a gentleman who works for Al Steinberg, who was a member of the, he was the head of the local finance board. He was the head of local government services. He literally wrote the book on government finance, has relationships with PSE&G, and it was recommended to me. I've experience with them that's been positive, and my goal is to get this off of our books one way or another as soon as possible.
I would just, another follow-up, which is, does that pile of bills represent a failure on our part or PSE&G's part? Why do we have that pile of bills?
I have about 100 envelopes like this. I actually thought about calling the customer service number and asking to talk to someone. So when they saw one of the bills is $753,000, just to see the reaction I would get. But this is a failure on our part for not resolving this one way or another. I'm not saying we know it all. I know there were conversations before, but it fell by the wayside, and it's going to be resolved.
Thank you very much.
Can I speak to that? Sure. Comment. So, Mr. D'Amato, I'm speaking directly. So, when we had an operational finance committee, one of the things that we were looking into was addressing this matter, because as Mr. Opola said, it's been a long-standing issue. But clearly, as you know, the finance committee has been disbanded, hasn't been working together probably for over a year and a half. And so that led to no action being taken on this. So that, to Mr. Opola's point, it was something that fell to the wayside, but it wasn't not something that the current group was not looking to address at a time over 2 years ago. And then the other part is, these are like, I believe, they're like 99 utilities that encompass this full bill. So there's a whole bunch of research that needs to be done in terms of the way the billing is done. So it's not as simple as this is just one bill that comes to us. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of research needs to be done in terms of getting all of the documentation that adds up to this price. But they do owe us the money. And so I think but there are some conversations to be had about this.
We owe them money, or they owe?
No, they owe us money. They owe us. It is a legit bill.
If it's a bill, we owe them money.
Well, I'm saying so they owe us money for this,
You
for
mean
that.
we don't have to order the full amount? Is that what you're saying?
Hmm?
You lost me there, that they owe us money.
No, I'm saying this is an opportunity. There's money out there that PSE&G, you want to go after to see what it is that we owe them, correct?
We need to figure out exactly what is owed legitimately, and then
Right.
hopefully negotiate if we can, even lower number.
Correct.
To make this go away. That's the
Yes,
goal.
that's what I'm saying, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks.
Councilman Terry.
I have a question. When you said there are other utilities involved, like what does that mean, like that?
I think you mean multiple meters.
Right.
Say it again?
It's just not one meter, it's multiple meters. We have
Oh,
in different
okay.
locations, et cetera.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the number's like 99.
Yeah, I don't think it's that high anymore, but there's multiple meters here, but it's got to be fixed.
Mr. Poole, as that review or whatever is going on, to make sure that we do negotiate that, and appreciative of that too. And make Mr. Fan, I know some of these things come to you, but I know we had seen, Verizon bills, et cetera, that were languishing, some others, but if we could make sure all of those types of things are reviewed in some way, so that we get a hold of, what is the deal, what's going on. I appreciate that.
That's my goal.
But I think since we're on this conversation, I do think this is something we need to pull and have a discussion about it, because as this is stated, this is not a professional service contract, and we put this out as a no bid contract and non-fair and open, and that's not what this is. So there's several questions I had about this in terms of, there are many firms throughout the state that do this kind of work. I know 3 are Avid Exchange, Troy and Banks, and Marsh and Minnick. I did not see anywhere on GSG's website where they've done this before. And I also have an issue with the fact that GSG recommended Mr. LaPola to work here, and for him to go out and provide them with a non-fair, not open contract, to me is troublesome. And so I do think we need to pull this and have a conversation, because I have a concern, because there's a clear conflict of interest. And in my opinion, if we do not do this, this is something I will be sending to the State Ethics Board and the Local Finance Board to review, because the manner in which we're doing this is basically, this should have been sent out for an RFP to have companies who have expertise in this to do that. So I'm just letting everyone in here know that.
And
you. Mr. Paul.
just to be clear here, all of this was done in consultation with the law department and with our qualified purchasing agent, Al De Niro's. It was done by the book. There is no conflict. And with all due respect, Counselor, if we're going to talk about ethics issues, etc., under the Faulkner Act, you're not supposed to be talking to various department heads without my permission. I've alerted the council to this on several occasions, which obviously you choose not to abide by, but if we're going to make threats like that,
It's not a threat,
please, it was a threat.
because we were in a meeting where you specifically told me that I could talk to any director I wanted to about your work and the work that you're doing. And I believe Mr. Terry was in that meeting. And I said to you, okay, I'm going to take you up on that. So just like I reached out to Ms. Ryle about this, I reached out to Ms. Abzarni about the fields. So all I'm doing is what you told me I could do.
No, I disagree with that, but
So are you saying you did not tell me that
we were
I should
talking
talk
about
to?
something very specific.
You
at the
said to
time.
me I could reach out to any
Yeah.
director, but
And-
more than that,
Yeah,
this is what I want to say. To this right here. This is for the council. The specific citation here, NJSA 40A 1126, that says basically why this is not a professional service contract. Professional services means services rendered or performed by a person authorized by law to practice a recognized provision, whose practice is regulated by law, and the performance of which services requires knowledge of an advanced type in the field of learning acquired by a prolonged formal course of specialized instruction and study, as distinguished from general academic instruction or apprenticeship and training. Professional services may also mean services rendered in the provision or performance of goods and services that are original and creative in character in a recognized field of artistic endeavor. So in this particular, whereas in the clause of this NJSA 4011.5 applies to professional services, this does not fit that. And the other question, just similar to when we had the other, has anyone seen the GSG proposal? Okay.
Mr. Paul, would you like to speak to that?
I have the GSG proposal.
Right, but we have to vote on this. We haven't seen anything. Again, another area of concern. And then the other part is this, when things are done like this, most firms get a percentage of savings of what is saved, and we're paying a fee regardless of that savings. these are all things that may sound like minutia, but to me, it's a practice that has some historic reservations in terms of like how we are operating by giving out contracts without sending them out to proposals to get qualified professional firms that do the work that we're looking to get done. In this particular case, I don't see that. So do we have any other townships that GSG has done this for?
I didn't ask.
You didn't ask. Okay, so how can we say that they can do this
Because they're
work if we
qualified.
never
This is
done it?
what they do. They do all kinds of general.
Is your microphone on?
Yes, it is, Mayor. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I could hear.
But
So the
as
question
I
is
mentioned before, Counselor, and one of the reasons why I didn't go through the process you described is by the time it went out, and by the time we had a selection, and by the time it got through the finance department, it would be July.
Okay,
And this
so
is about finding out what the problem is and not having the people who are part of the problem decide who's going to decide if they were part of the problem, if that makes sense.
so when did you decide we needed to do this?
Once I found that the pile of bills was brought to my attention,
So when was that?
within the last month, about a month ago, but right before the last January meeting, which I think was January 30th or 29th.
So considering where we are now, you didn't have enough time to send something out to our RFP to come back with with companies and firms who do this? If you knew it a month ago, why didn't we put this on the agenda a month ago?
As I just said, Counselor, I thought this was the most efficient way to do this. I believe that this organization is more than qualified to do it. And as I just said, and I will repeat, I do not think it appropriate that because I know you're reading the CFO's talking points that she sent to me.
I'm not reading CF's
Okay,
talking points.
right.
What I'm reading,
Yeah,
what I'm saying is, A, I asked the question, do we know of any other municipality that GSG has done this for?
Well, Mr. LaPole, I'd say this,
Yeah.
let's answer the questions and let's move.
I do
over the
not
agenda
know.
here.
Did GSG recommend you to be our interim manager?
From what I am told, yes.
Okay, so you know that answer. And again, I go back to, a month ago, you realized we had this outstanding bills and you wanted to do something about it. That's not enough time to send this out as an RFP,
No.
but now is.
Excuse me?
Here we are a month later, and now we're saying it's too late. You want to get it done expeditiously.
I want to get the $1 million bill off of our books, Counselor.
That sounds great
That's
to
my
me, but
goal,
what I'm
which
saying
is
is.
diverting the conversation.
But I'm not
which should be
diverting the
fo-
conversation.
Yes, you are, Counselor.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, you knew a month ago that this was something you wanted to handle.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of sending out an RFP to get that done, you decided that GSG was the group that you wanted to do.
Yes.
And so this is an organization that we have no understanding or no information that they've ever done it before. Yet there are many state agencies who specialize in this. So why wouldn't we send this out to RFP to get organizations and firms that specialize in it? Why wouldn't we do that? We've had enough time. By then, if you'd sent it out back then, we'd had RFPs already.
I know the fact that this may have been languishing around for 3 or 4 or 5 years doesn't seem to be of much concern, but
Again.
I made a decision.
And
It's my turn to speak,
but that's not
Counselor.
true. It wasn't a
Yes,
concern.
no, it is. You
It
knew
is
about it
not.
a year
Okay,
and a half
that's-
We are
ago.
going to have one
No,
speak at a time.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
But-
He says it's not a concern. As I explained to you, and I believe Mr. Herlock and the mayor, who was on the finance committee with me at the time, this was something that we were trying to get addressed over 2 years ago. Then the finance committee was disbanded for several reasons, whatever, and it fell to the wayside. It wasn't addressed. And now I compliment you for finding it, but what I'm saying to you is a very simple fact. Why did we not send it out to get a professional firm that specializes in this type of work? And why does it go to GSG? It's just, listen, to me, it's an issue of paying a company that recommended you to work here to do work that they don't do.
Well,
When there are companies, I've asked you to find some firms, find some townships that they've done this for. You said you don't know. I've asked you, why wouldn't we go out to get this done by a professional firm that specializes in this? That's you. So on this council to determine whether or not they're okay with that. I'm not. I'm not to the point to, like I said, this is something that I will be filing with the State Ethics Board to look into because it's wrong. We need to get professionals to do this, and it adds up over time. It's very similar to, as my issue last time with the Aubrey Group. We wanted to give them $50,000. We turned around, gave them 35.
We didn't give anyone any money. It's a not to
Well,
exceed amount.
we said that. But we also said that one of the reasons we didn't want to compare them to East Orange and Newark is because East Orange and Newark had grant writers on staff. But when I called the mayor of East Orange and mayor of Newark, they both told me, no, we do not. We just have the Aubrey Group. So this is a continuation of that as far as I'm concerned. And to the council, I'm letting you know, this is something that's going to the State Ethics Board.
Thank you, Counselor. We appreciate you letting us know. And we'll move on to Ordinance O-24-06, which is...
I have a question, I'm sorry, Mayor. The thing that's really troubling here is how on earth could we have piles of bills that have gone unpaid for years? How does that happen? I don't have that at my house. We have to pay our bills. How does this happen?
So,
Councilwoman,
Robin,
there's
How does this
Verizon and
happen?
other ones.
How
that
does the
are-
finance department allow this to happen?
Well, that's part of what we're going to find out.
so Robin,
We have a whole department that pays the bills. I don't get it. I don't get, and there's other bills? This is horrible that it's gotten to this point. I'm not, Mr. LaPola, you've only been here a short time. I don't get this. I don't get it. We have
So,
a bill
Robin-
list every month, excuse me. We have a bill list every month. It's this thick. I read it every single time I'm here for many, many years. It's millions of dollars every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. And we don't pay the electric bill and the gas bill? Well, I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted. And that we're even in this predicament, that we have to hire somebody to straighten out the bills. Where is, and another thing, if I can ask, in a night like this, where we have something on the agenda like this, and we've had many, many other things in finances, why isn't the CFO here? Why isn't she here to answer our questions? The buck stops with her, it's her department. Why can't, or her designee, why doesn't anybody ever come to help
If you'd
us
like her here
here?
next meeting, I'll have her here.
I just don't understand. Ms. Chally comes, Mr. Absarni comes from the water department. I don't get this. I don't get this. So maybe it boggles my mind. I'm sorry, but I'm very angry.
Understood?
Sorry, I agree. Well said.
and to
Yeah.
your point, Robin, so I checked with other towns,
Yeah.
and this isn't an anomaly. That's why you have so many companies that do this work, because
To
there's so
untangle
many
the bills?
There's so many bills and so many things that are doing this. Now, in our case, again, this was something that we were looking into handle 2 years ago. Now, that doesn't absolve that it hasn't been handled, but we were looking into it. Finance department got disbanded, and it's comes down.
The finance
committee
department still
got
exists.
disbanded. And then to the question of why the CFO isn't here, anytime she's been invited, she's been here. So it's not as if she hasn't shown up when she's invited. And so that's one thing. But I think what we need to focus on as a council is, are you willing and open to giving a contract to a company that, according to Mr. Pola, does not know has ever done this work, which you want to recoup, when there are plenty of organizations, and I named 3 firms, that do this? That's what their job is. This is not GSG's job. This is not what GSG does. So you have to think about that. So when you want to go out there and get it, do you want somebody who knows how to do it and has done it before and has done it for communities like ours, or taking a chance, well, I don't know if they've done it? Think about that. And that's not anything to absolve anybody or to say other than this is what, it's important that when we get this type of information that we read it. And I will tell you personally, yes, I look extremely close at all things that we're doing to GSG because of the fact that they recommended Mr. LaPola. And I don't think he should give any contracts to a company that recommended him to us, because that just reeks of pay to play.
Okay, next is Ordinance O-24-06, which is an ordinance amending 02007, which is creating certain offices, positions.
Mr. Mayor, I hate to interrupt you, and especially since I just got here, but you're still on public comment according to Madam Clerk.
Was there other public comment on?
Yeah, there's one
items?
other person
Oh, I'm
signed
sorry,
on
go
it.
ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Fogel, 16 Forest Street. I'm commenting on the last item on the agenda. I read the agenda very carefully as soon as it comes out, and I'm talking specifically where it says executive session, and there are no agenda items. A couple of weeks ago, in preparation for the February 13th meeting, there were no agenda items, yet at that executive session, a matter concerning the planning board was discussed, it was voted on, and furthermore, a retroactive appointment was issued for somebody on the planning board. I'm not making up laws, and I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but the New Jersey statutes annotated 10-4-13 at the end of their statement makes three statements. One is, minutes must be taken and kept from executive session meetings. I've never seen any. Executive session meetings must be on the agenda. No vote can be taken in place in executive session. All votes must be done in public session. Laws were broken by the three actions taken on February 13th in your executive session. There's nothing listed for tonight's executive session. Can you please let the people know what's on your agenda for your executive session tonight?
Don't we usually name personnel or something?
Yeah.
Is it in there?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so thank you for your comment.
Are you going to answer the question?
We'll answer at the end of comments. Thank you. Any other comments
On the answer of public comments after the executive session?
on the end of these comments here? Okay, seeing none, no others wishing to speak, I will close public comment. To answer that specifically, working backwards, yes, we do always list exactly what is to be discussed, as is tonight, another example of it. Any of our executive session ordinance resolution that you see specifically lists, they're all listed as a sample there, and then specifically the one to be addressed has it underlined and notes it. That's the format that we use every time, and it was the format used in previous meetings and the format again tonight. No votes are taken in executive session. That is why we always come out of executive session. If any votes are to be taken, those votes are taken in public session, not in executive session. That answers that question there as well. Okay. Moving forward, we have Ordinance O-24-06, which is an ordinance to amend 020-07, which is to create certain offices, positions, and employments in the Township of Montclair, County of Essex, and fixing salary guides thereof, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thanks. So we did receive a revised document. So it had said senior municipal tax collector, and the new ones just says senior municipal tax assessor. Are those the same position by a different name or a different position?
Counselor, what this does is creates two positions. They're non-union positions. And once they-
Non-union, you said?
What's that?
Non-union?
Non-union
position?
positions. These are administrative positions. It is my intent to then, hopefully at some point, take people who currently serve in very similar positions, who are paid far below what they deserve, and then promote them into these positions, leaving their current positions vacant, but not to be filled. They are two people who, between them, I think, have well over 50 years of service to Montclair. As a matter of fact, on the second position for the Superintendent of Recreation, the person who's been here 32 years, is the backbone of the department. It doesn't even make the minimum of what that salary is. And it's an outrage to me that these people are so grossly underpaid. And over the next few months, you will see other positions where we see people who I believe, some in unions, some are not, who are their responsibilities, and I know we have union contracts, et cetera, who are grossly underpaid. They are primarily women and primarily women of color, and it is my goal to fix that.
Thank you.
We may have to do a whole study at some point as to our titles of just a mishmash of things that have been added for the past 40 or 50 years. They don't match responsibilities. We have salary ranges that are huge. We really need to assess all of these positions so people are adequately compensated and have the ability to move forward or not. But it's not, somebody who's doing similar responsibilities in one department is making $30,000 more than someone in another department. So my goal is to fix these issues, and we're going to do the best that we can to fix what we can quickly. And then I think I'll have a proposal for you at some point to hire a company that comes in and just does a full analysis. We're not civil service, so it's really just our own system. And I think over the years the system has become broken. I think the titles don't match the technology and everything else. The fact that somebody could be 35 years in the exact same title and be at their max salary for 25 years is insane to me. They may get some, small increases, but it's an outrage. If you could work in this town for 65 years and be an accountant, 65 for 25 years as an accountant, and you're not making $65,000 a year, there's something very, very wrong with that. And hopefully, we'll be able to fix the bigger problem, but this is one of the first steps that we're going to be taking.
Thank you. But I have actually a slight, my question was that we had a piece of paper in the packet, and then the one that was handed to us has a
Yeah,
slightly
there was a
different
mistake.
title.
It was a tax assessor,
So
not
I'm
tax
asking
collector.
if a tax collector and a tax assessor are the same thing, or
No,
they?
two
so-
different departments.
Okay. The tax assessor, just,
Right.
what is that role?
The tax assessor is the person goes out and sets the value of your property. They work for us, but they're independent.
Okay.
They're part of the government, and the tax collector is the one who collects your taxes, et cetera.
Thank you.
Councilman Terry?
When you say non-union, are they in administrative-like type position?
Yes,
or
sir.
how-
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
And these people should have been in administrative titles
Oh, okay.
10 or 15 years ago.
Any other questions?
Yes. So we have a tax assessor, correct?
Yes.
And the senior tax assessor that we are creating, will they report to the tax assessor?
Yeah, they report, yes, of course.
So the title seems to be, when you see senior tax assessor, that seems to say that the tax assessor will reporting to the senior tax assessor.
Now, this-
So,
yeah,
I mean, just
it's
from,
just that, yeah, the tax assessor is the tax assessor, so that anything flows from that. So I think everybody understands that that's,
but when you
I
see,
consulted with him before we created this title.
yeah, I had a, so again, when you say senior tax assessor, that just from a title
Right.
alone seems to be that person is superior to the tax assessor. So I think there may be a consideration to tweaking this title, number one, because again, a tax assessor's here, why is a senior tax assessor here? I think, I was a deputy editor, and there was a senior deputy editor, and the senior deputy editor was above me. So I think that's one thing. Be that as it may, the tax assessor's office, I'm going to go back to this again. From my understanding, that is a division under the finance department. And so my question is, have you discussed this with the CFO?
No.
Okay, so now I go to Judge Portillo's order, which clearly stated one of the issues with currently operating with the CFO was her not getting things to do her job. That's not my order, that's the judge's order. So if you're not speaking with the CFO on a position that reports to her, and again, I'm talking to the council here, this seems to reek of the same issue that got us in the problem we have with the CFO, in that this is not giving her an opportunity to do her job. And so just from that position. The other thing, we have two positions here, and both individuals, no issue with. However, how many folks do we have at the top level of their steps that are in union positions like them?
I don't know the exact number, but quite a few.
So ultimately, if we move these people right now, if I'm a union rep I'm coming to you tomorrow and saying, why am I not getting the same opportunities for others, even though, because you said it, we have a lot of people who've been in jobs for a long time, but we've identified 2 who are going to be elevated to another level and given position. And so how are we gonna rectify that with the others who you want to take care of down the line, as opposed to then giving us a full assessment of people in these positions that we want to, so we could know, because these salary ranges are significant. This is a significant amount of money that it could end up being.
Well, these 2 positions, these 2 people and subsequently positions, in my opinion, should be administrative positions. They should not be in the unions, given their vast responsibilities and qualifications. Secondly is we are creating these positions and hopefully moving people into them, but we are not deleting their current titles, okay? So technically, the titles will still remain with the union. They will not be filled, but they will be there.
So you see no potential issues with the union asking for similar treatment for others who are at the top of their step in this position?
Look, they can ask. I've yet to have any union come to me.
Well, we haven't done this until today. We're potentially not doing this until now.
No, that's not my point. My point is I've never had any union head come to me to say that they think any of their employees should get more money. I mean, there's contractual limits here, but that doesn't make the situation, in my opinion, fair. And these are 2 people who should be in the administrative positions. When I said to you about doing a study of titles, et cetera, I think we can solve a bigger picture. There are some glaring problems that I'd like to address quickly, and that's why I'm doing this. Regarding your other point, I will just say this, is that under the statute, I'm the town manager, and I'm the person in charge here. I do not have to consult with any department head. I don't have to do, and just because there's past practice doesn't set some kind of precedent. And I've already told you I'm not going to discuss what the court has said. If anybody thinks that's in violation of what the court ordered, they can go to court. I'm not going to argue that. I can't operate in a situation where every move that we make and everything that we do is in the context of a lawsuit. Government shouldn't have to work that way, but unfortunately here it sometimes does. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job, and my responsibility is to make these decisions, make the recommendations, present them to the council, and if the council votes. If you agree with me, the votes are yes. If not, no. But I do think these are glaring problems. And honestly, in these situations, in terms of consultation with department heads, sometimes the problem is the department head. Sometimes there's people in those departments who are underpaid. And I'm not going to ask, in my opinion, as the town manager, that somebody who's here, who is a certified municipal tax collector in New Jersey, who's passed one of the most difficult tests in the state, who's been here 25 years, and in my opinion is grossly underpaid, that I have to get someone's permission. That's not going to happen.
I'm not asking, that's not what my point is. My point is that, A, the title, senior tax assessor, seems to indicate that she is above the tax assessor. It's not, the 2 employees, particularly for here, I agree with you, they deserve what potentially happened. But a concern I have, and I guess maybe you don't, is that does this put the township position where the unions will have the right to ask for similar changes to other staff members who are at the top of their step? That's just the question I have to you. But then I go back to the title again, and I don't know of anybody who's one level below someone who has a higher title than them. So that's just a simple, I don't think that's not a hard fix to make. But then I also want to make it clear to the point that, yes, you have every right, you are the manager, but directors also have jobs to do too. And while you don't have to worry about past practice, we do. Because there is a lawsuit out there, and a judge clearly told us how we need to operate. And you're in that position to operate that way. So I'm worried about being put at further jeopardy by these actions. And this council needs to be aware of that because our decisions are ultimately the ones that put us in a position. So I'm not really speaking to you, Michael, as much as I am to the council, so that they really pay attention to what we're doing. And again, I asked them to think about it. Senior tax assessor,
We can make it senior assistant municipal tax assessor.
I don't see why you just mean a municipal
No,
tax
that-
assessor.
that's what
The senior title itself
I
elevates
add
the
the word
position.
assistant.
Right.
Senior-
So you
we
can
can
do
ma-
whatever.
Mayor, if we can make it senior assistant,
It's non-substantive, so that's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Okay.
The title becomes what then?
Senior assistant municipal tax assessor.
Okay. All right, so we have it as senior assistant. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next, we have our consent agenda, which we move through here. We've got a couple other ones in there that we'll see if they get added. We want to add in the consent agenda without objection. There's number 6, which is Resolution R-24-055, which is just to appoint the municipal registrar. If there's no objection, we'll add that to the consent agenda. And certainly as we go through, and the manager noted this at the start, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and I don't think he had a chance to hear the ambulance unit came in, did a wonderful presentation, certainly on the, just the great work that they do, certainly serving this community and others. Mr. LaPola noted at that time to try and get some settlement dollars into them, and that's also in item number 9, Resolution R-24-058, which is a resolution to pre-qualify and award for an open professional services contract to the Montclair Ambulance Unit, the Essex Health and Recovery Center serves the township as the opioid settlement fund implementation program. So without objection, I'll add that to the.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for
Yeah.
the heads up. I'm
Hey.
sorry I missed that part
No,
of
it
the
was a really-
presentation. I was out of town, actually in court with clients all day today in Philadelphia, but I see members of the Montclair Ambulance Unit are out there, Chief, Deputy Chief, and members of the team. Thank you all for your service. You do a wonderful job for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the heads up.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I do want to put forth a request to pull R-24-065.
Which number are you talking about here?
16.
Number 16.
But that's not on the
It's
consent
res-
agenda.
consent agenda is numbers
Oh,
1 through 12.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, we have items 1 through 12 moving as consent agenda, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-24-062, which is a resolution authorizing awarding a contract to LAN Associate Architectural Design Services for the Police Department 911 migration. I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none.
I
Madam-
just,
oh,
so I
Councilwoman
did want
Chris.
to know, if, Mr. Leopold, you could just explain what the dispatch center is? In other words, it's,
We're
Can you-
relocating the dispatch back from the fire department to the police department.
so it requires a certain amount of
That's
build-out, and that's what
Design,
this is
et
about.
cetera, yes.
Okay.
Does this also connect them to, or is it still separate?
I believe it's still separate, sir.
Can you find out for me?
Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-24-063, which is authorizing the award of police off-duty management contract to Extra Duty Solutions through competitive contracting. I so move. Second. It's moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-24-064, which is a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting for consulting services with the township for professional services as Section 8 hearing officer, accounting services. I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments?
Who's the current Section 8 hearing officer?
Mr. LaPole, would you like to speak to?
I don't know the answer to that.
So who's been handling these services?
Madam Attorney, I don't believe this is the Section 8 hearing officer, correct? Can you explain this one, please?
The Section 8 hearing officer,
Yeah.
that's who you're asking. It's a yearly appointment. I don't know his name.
Can you get me his name?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is right. What? I understand his question, right? That's not this, just to note.
Yeah, I believe this past year it was Mr. Billy, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And just for clarity, that is not this for everyone listening. So, okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. This is Resolution R-24-065, which is a resolution authorizing the award of professional services contract without public bidding to Government Strategies Group to conduct a financial review analysis of the outstanding invoices from the Public Service Electric and Gas Company. I so move.
So I ask that this be held because, again, as we stated earlier, they have no experience or have not shown or demonstrated. We haven't seen anything that said that they do
Mr. Cummings, I know
this.
you want to debate, but as I moved it, let me see if there's a second, and then you absolutely can debate. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's moved and seconded. Please, comments?
So everyone heard what I said earlier about this and heard the response from the town manager that no, he doesn't know that they've ever done this before.
I did ask, and they did the same thing in Edison recently.
So Edison is one town. That's good that you got that, but again, my still go to the fact that we have to deal with the fact that this is an organization that recommended him to work here, and now he's giving them a contract, and it's consistent with the fact that there are professional organizations that this is what they specialize in do. And I think if we want to go after this amount of money for what we need, we should get the companies that do this the best.
Any other questions, comments? Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Yeah, so Mr. Lapola, and I think you just made reference to it in the earlier conversation, but can you clarify, I think you indicated there was a person on the staff there, I don't know if you
Yes.
knew him or you knew of him.
I know him.
And that it's within, he has expertise in particular, and because you knew that,
Right.
and you said he has a relationship with PSE&G, did you say that?
I believe the companies, at least the ones that the CFO had referred to, suggested to me, are just pure forensic accountants. They go back and just do it, take the bills and figure out what it is. There's other parts to this, which includes dealing with PSE&G, helping to negotiate, figure out what the issue is. And Mr. Steinberg, I believe, was the first director of local government services, with the head of local finance board.
So maybe just
And
even
it
a
was
step
actually,
explaining
it was
the-
actually when I spoke to our current auditors, and I asked them specifically, do I need to hire a forensic accountant? They did not believe that we needed to do that, and they also suggested that Mr. Steinberg could do the job.
So-
And that was Mr. Swisher from Slupley Clooney, I had that conversation with,
Who was the person who you said you had the conversation with?
our auditor.
Our
Mr.
auditor. So
Yes,
the auditor recommended,
right. He knew that he
individual
knew
who
I
happened
knew
to work
them
for
and
GSG.
recommended Mr. Steinberg to do it. They have also done the same thing in Edison. Forensic accountants, of course, most accounting firms could do a forensic examination of the books, but there's a lot more moving parts here in terms of the government aspect of this and why it wasn't fixed and how this happened, and having an exception in our audit on Schedule A-22 that we owe $280,000, when I don't know if that's an accurate reflection or not. So I wanted somebody who can come in here and deal with all of the parts of this. And, I had a conversation with someone from PSE&G, because I was meeting with them on something else, who allegedly was part of these in-depth conversations, who really had no recollection of what this was about. So I'm not quite sure how far this goes back, because for those of you who are here, there was litigation involving two different, I think, third-party, Constellation and another one. And there were lawsuits, and those lawsuits are settled. So I don't quite understand why this issue still exists if those lawsuits were settled and everything else. So I just,
okay, so,
You know.
and I,
yeah.
I did call you earlier to letting people know, because I also wondered what this was about, and I didn't know the context. People who had
Mm-hmm. Right.
been on, the Finance Committee at one point apparently were privy to it, but I had not been. So I was inquiring in that regard. You did explain this to me. I wanted to clarify, though, this is a flat fee we're paying them. They're not taking a percentage of whatever else there is or in some fashion.
They're not, there's no, that's the amount of, they don't get any percentage on the success fee.
Okay, well, that's, it was alluded to, and I wanted to make sure
No,
what the
there's no
terms were.
There's no percentage on it, no. I'm not a big fan of success fees for the most part, so,
All
Any
right,
other-
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for my colleagues? Okay.
One quick
Please,
question.
Councilwoman Schlegel.
Mr. Polo, just from my own mind, your salary that you receive here is, you're paid through the Township of
right,
Montclair.
let me clarify this for maybe the fifth time.
Okay.
I have no relationship with GSG other than getting a phone call to see if I was interested in this job. I have never done work for them. I've never been part of their company. I have never sought work from them. I have never given them a proposal. I received a call from Mr. Hartnett, the late Mr. Hartnett, at one point, asking me if I might be interested in doing this, and I gave him a resume. As I said at that time, I had not met or heard of any of you. I don't think I met anybody in person before I got the job. So this was totally out of the blue. I have no relationship. I don't work for them. There's nothing there. They don't pay my salary. They don't go through my salary. I think they were paid somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 because they successfully recommended someone for the position.
Okay.
And I also did work with them here because as part of that, there was another contract that they were awarded that ended at the end of last year, and that work was done. But, and I was not part of that award, but I did work with them and was very satisfied with their work. The people who work there have stellar reputations in the state of New Jersey. You can call around to any town and ask them about the people there, and whether it's Al Steinberg or Kendra Roberts or anybody else, they are the cream of the crop when it comes to government consulting. So I have every confidence in them.
Okay.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you.
Councilman Terry?
Yes, I do have a question. You did say also that you spoke to the law department. Did I hear that, or I heard that wrong?
This was done at Al De Niro's, who's our qualified purchasing agent, is a stickler. And I worked hand in hand with him to make sure I was in compliance with the law. Okay? It was also reviewed by Township Council. I am confident that we followed every step of the law in terms of this. Okay? So that's right then and there. Al is the one who makes those decisions. We don't go back at him and say, no, we're not going to do it that way. Al said this is how it can be done, and this is how it was done. So,
Any other questions?
Yes, so I
Council-
want to
Mr. Deputy, I know you've
emphasize,
asked a lot already, so Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Vito, if you could just comment for me on whether, there's been some questions. I appreciate you asking that question, Robin, that you just did, and Mr. Lapola, your response. Sorry to make you do it more than once.
it's okay.
Do we see any issues here from a conflict perspective legally?
No, we see no conflict issues.
Thank you.
so I'm just going to emphasize once more that this is not a professional service contract, which is the rationale for the non-fair and open bid, and a clear conflict. And so, Mr. Pohl, just so I have this on the record, and this is what it's about, did you consult with the CFO on this recommendation?
I made her aware of the recommendation. If that's the same as a consultation, yes.
Okay. Any other staff member?
I spoke to obviously to the purchasing agent, someone else who works in purchasing. I believe the controller was also part of the conversation because I
Okay.
invited them to my office when I found out about the bills and asked what this was and how it could be. And I, with all due respect to them, basically got a big shrug.
So just for clarification,
Yes.
are you saying yes, that you consulted the CFO on this?
A consultation is, did I talk to her about it? Yes.
No, because I actually, earlier when you said you did not, and now you're saying
Now, you
that.
asked me that about the position.
So I'm talking about the contract with this, I'm talking about this right here, the
Yes,
contract.
yes.
So you did consult her on this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
No.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next is Resolution R-24-066. Councilwoman Schlager, would you do the honors?
Oh, yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amount set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair in the County of Essex that these invoices be and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts respectively and hereinafter stated on the computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This bill list is dated February 27th, the year of 2024, for $1,603,241.49, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
No.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo absent. Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Thank you very much. Before we go to open public comments, I'll just say again to the ambulance unit, as you saw today, is through our actions, we're happy to be able to support additionally financially. So, hopefully we're helping you along your way to that goal to help with that budget. Certainly we continue and will continue to support you in our other ways with property, other things you noted, but also publicize, the great work that you do and hopefully get others to contribute. And I know through the manager, we continue to look at some of those other pieces that we had all spoken about, which is insurance overlaps and things that we might be able to do in partnership. And certainly, I think we'll all look at it, especially as you note the vehicle that you noted, finally going kaput. Looking at some of the other options out there to try and acquire a vehicle in partnership with other towns, et cetera. I know we had some loose conversations. So ongoing, but happy to be able to get some of that over to you guys tonight. Okay, thanks. Okay. All right, with that, I'm going to open up to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to public comment, please come over and sign on in and offer your public comments.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Grouper, and I'll start to asking a quick question. Is how many folks here have been to the Bonsall Preserve? Great. 3. How many folks have been? Okay. That's a great showing. It is the best kept secret in Montclair. Mr. Herlock knows it well. He's been our advocate for it. We have a request to present that has been in the works for a long time now. Just for whatever reasons, and not because of its merits. The quick history of what's going on is that the preserve had a sewer line going through it from the town of Clifton. The Bonsall Preserve is this oasis. It's this little pearl in the middle of Montclair, in the top of Montclair, that is the only unmanicured park we have. Okay, it's a little patch of wilderness, and it's been under a lot of different stresses from, being a suburban park preserve. First and foremost was it had a sewer line going through it from Clifton, and Clifton stepped up. I'll say more than Montclair has, to be blunt. Clifton has put $5 million into relocating that sewer line because it was busted. And it redirected it around the preserve with a technique called horizontal directional drilling. It goes underground and with gravity. So it was an expensive project. And the tail end of that project was to provide us with $300,000 of restoration. We have 300 trees and bushes to show for that. Very proud of that. And that led to this renaissance at the preserve where a slew of people have now come out to recognize it, to take care of it. We have ongoing invasive species projects, cleanup projects, Boy Scout projects, all kinds of stuff, because people now are aware that the preserve is worth preserving. Okay, now one of the main features that came of this is that at the northern end of the preserve, in its wisdom, Clifton picked that stretch of property to put this sewer line, and in doing so, it took back land that the residents of Clifton had usurped. All right, the Clifton residents had taken their properties and spread into Bonsall, and the previous township attorney helped us to repossess our property there and plant some of those trees into that area. Okay, this was an enormous effort that we've been undertaking, that we finally realized, and we have trees planted there. We have native grasses. The problem is that now those same properties are beginning their slow migration back into the preserve. And so I'm here to ask that we get a split rail fence. to mark off the northern edge of the preserve. It's not that expensive. It'll help us to complete this project. We would appreciate the council's approval of that. And this is the preserve's 50th anniversary. So this is our request for a victory lap, for this to be part of what's going to mark that for us. Okay, 1974. So I put that to you, and I hope that you'll all give that your thumbs up.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm going to just, if I could, Mr. Mayor. And Jonathan, you know I love you. We've been working together for 12 years plus. I just have to clarify something, though. I would respectfully disagree that Clifton's done more than us. They were originally going to put a pump station in the middle of your preserve, and it was only because of me and my relationship with Mayor Grabowski that it became a gravity-fed line.
Absolutely.
So I just want to, I don't like to toot my own horn when I'm up here at all, and
If I
probably
have
the
not
quietest
tooted
one up
it
here.
enough, it's because of Mr. Herlock that I can say everything that we just said.
Mr.
Yeah.
Bianco and I did walk the property not too long ago, and there were some areas that we had some concerns about putting a split rail fence even to disturb the natural landscape that was already there. But I'm happy to work with Mr. Lapola going forward to get that addressed
We'd
in the next
appreciate it.
4 months. Not that I'm counting. No, I'm just saying until July 1st. But we'll work on it, Jonathan, for sure.
And if I haven't stated enough, it's because of Mr. Herlock that we accomplished all of this. We're very grateful to you, and also
Well,
for the
thank you.
outreach to Clifton. Yes, very much so.
Absolutely. And you've done a great job, too. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good evening. My name is Ben Rich. Live at 27 James Street. I'm co-chair of the Environmental Commission, and we just completed our Montclair Climate Action Plan. And so I've just come to formally present it to you. In July 2021, the Town Council passed a resolution for the Environmental Commission to write a climate action plan. And to do this, we worked together with local environmental groups such as Montclair Climate Action, the Sierra Club, Northeast Earth Coalition, the League of Women Voters, and the Sustainability Coordinator for the Town of Montclair. And it was a significant effort that culminated in a thorough report with action steps for Montclair to be a leader in climate mitigation and adaptation. The Climate Action Plan is based in the latest science, and it focuses on the one main thing that we need to do to reduce carbon emissions, which is to stop burning fossil fuels, and primarily in our buildings and in transportation. So at this time, the best way to do that is to electrify everything that burns fossil fuels and then produce our own electricity or purchase electricity from renewable resources. So the Sustainability Coordinator for the Township has been highly effective in receiving grants to install necessary infrastructure to electrify the Township's fleet to all EVs, which will save the Township money as it has other towns already. So please be sure to fund those projects as we get the grant money that will save big in the coming years. Possibly the most important action for the town to take, though, is to ensure all future managerial hires have a strong environmental understanding and drive to make the necessary changes to our buildings and transportation systems instead of remaining in the status quo. Having people who know what they're talking about and know to make these decisions that are already in those positions is critical. And at this point, really, my only question is whether we need to have a vote to adopt this or endorse it, or whether this is a document that we can publish on our website.
Yeah, thank you. I know that some conversations the councilwoman has had. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, by the way, to you and the committee. Certainly Suzanne and Lisa and everybody else who's been a part of the work and your time you've put in. Thank you so much. I think as we look at it, and as the councilwoman's notes, it will note, I'm sure there's a couple pieces that might want a little bit more review on, a couple tweaks potentially. But then I think we would bring it back to this body, whether or not it has to be voted on. I think it's a good idea to kind of put it into the record, if you will. That is part of our plan, and then have it officially be our action plan.
That sounds good.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
Ben, I really just, so for those who don't know, I don't know how long your tenure of service has been, but, as sat through many of the meetings, I don't make everyone. Every time I go, I'm very happy. I've been there to listen to the very thoughtful group of people around the table who are sitting right there, who are just really grappling with the challenging issues of, what it means to be environmental stewards and what kind of policies and et cetera. So to the extent that you've been this leader, a co-leader, but really I know someone who's taken it on very seriously. It's a personal passion and a lot of professional expertise you bring. I want to thank you myself. And I want to thank you also for this plan, because I know it was something I would say it was collectively birthed by handful of people with a lot of work. And so I think, it's very nearly there. There may be a couple questions, and Lisa had raised that we might want to end up bringing back to the commission to look at. If that's the case, I mean, it sounds like you're leaving the position, but you're not leaving the area, I hope, right?
Well, in 3 days, I'll be leaving the position.
But you won't be leaving the area, so you can come back when we finally do it, and we can thank you again if you're available. But I do want to really recognize the tremendous work that you and the people that you've worked with have put into this.
This has been a passion project for over 2 years, and so I'm really proud to be bringing it forward to you all. And I hope you've had a chance to read it, and it's high quality work because it's been a collaborative effort.
Absolutely.
So
thank you.
I think I heard her say, "Stay close." So.
Yeah.
Or if you get on your motorcycle and go very far, you'll come back.
Right, I'll come back.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We'll go back to you on
Thank
those
you.
pieces. Thank you.
Good evening, council members and Mr. Mayor. My name's Jared Delancey. I live at 41 North Fullerton, right up the street. I thank you for your attention and for your willingness to lead. I'd like to present to you as a Montclair resident my strong opinion on the matter of the flags currently flying over Montclair, and specifically those flying from the public flagpole at Montclair Center at the southwest corner of Bloomfield Avenue and Church Street. Currently, this flagpole features the American flag atop the flags of Ukraine and Israel. In my opinion, while individuals have an integral First Amendment right to hang any flag they choose, even the most provocative or controversial, on their private flagpole, or to wear any such flag on their sleeve, public flagpoles must be reserved for just one flag, the one incontestable flag, the one that is indeed provocative for many Americans, but not controversial, as it is the one that quite literally comes with the territory, and that's the flag of the United States of America. While certain public spaces must be and often are designated for protest and debate and for making political and socio-political statements, the likes of which go to the heart of this nation's founding and ongoing shaping, public flagpoles must not be. In this time of great division in our great and greatly troubled nation, we must, as ever, preserve and protect those dates and occasions, those spaces and symbols that galvanize us as Americans. Our flag is one such symbol among the most important. Whatever else it symbolizes, great wars and great tragedies, triumphant history and tragic history, outside of questioning the very concept of nationhood and boundaries, it is irrefutably the flag of America. We are all Americans, and we all call America our home. Recall the chapter in our history that included an attempt to argue the very essence of the Stars and Stripes and the fundamental meaning of America. Americans declared so-called civil war on one another and killed one another in record numbers. I do not believe invoking our civil war is hyperbolic at this juncture. Flying the flags of other nations makes political statements, and to do so in a public space imposes such statements on the residents from above, so to speak, and as opposed to making space, as the township seems to have done on the very corner just opposite the one in the question, where at the intersection of Bloomfield and Church in South Fullerton, I've witnessed many times opposing groups making their statements with full opportunity to debate, and with no conflict that I've seen, I might add. Also, to state the obvious, there are truly no flagpoles tall enough to represent all points of view, and invariably some groups feel left out and resentful. According to our own Montclair local from March 22nd of 2022, I'll be done in 1 second, the only written responses to the article describing the initial raising of the Ukrainian flag in Montclair Center were in abridged form, what about the Uyghurs and what about the Tibetans? This is clearly no solution.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Before you walk away, I think, Mr. Delancey, you're describing the flagpole that is on private property, because the flagpole that's the other place you're describing, really at that hub around, Church Street, South Fullerton, Bloomfield Avenue, there were different flags. I think we've kind of come to conclude roughly what you've said very beautifully, that maybe we don't have to try and represent every thought because, we have one symbol. I'm not sure, Mr. Lepola, I believe that's where you had landed as the manager, but I wanted to point out that what I think you're describing is the one that's on top of anthropology, which is that private properties, that property owner's private property.
I'm
And
very
so
glad you're bringing that to my attention because I made
it was confusing, I think,
I
for some
made
people.
several calls to this municipal building asking if that flagpole was indeed public or private, and I got no calls back. So I had to assume that a flagpole in such a prominent space, indeed in Montclair Center, was a public flagpole. I appreciate your time, and I hope you'll consider it.
Your thoughtful words.
Okay.
Thank you. Well said.
Good evening. My name is David Corfage. I live at 58 Tuxedo Road. I'm also the president of Montclair Climate Action, in addition to being a Montclair resident. I just want to very briefly, first of all, reinforce what Ben Rich said. I hope you guys will sort of adopt and vote to make official the Climate Action Plan and then follow forward in terms of follow through, adopt policy, or if you for the next 4 months, then whoever follows you, and including you, Mr. Lepola, help make it a real priority going forward as something that the town can integrate into policy and not just have on a piece of paper. But members of MCA were involved in sort of cooperating and helping to draft it. We'd be happy to serve as a resource so that can be at all helpful in your sort of ruminations on it. But I do want to speak to actually one particular climate plan that actually climate issue that does come up there, and that is asking the town to take an even stronger stand on behalf of creating a bikeable and walkable community. This is not a new goal. As long ago as 2003, more than 20 years ago, in the Sustainable Montclair Planning Guide, they called for a creation of a bike route north-south through the town. And nearly every planning document since then, including the Climate Action Plan itself, put forward by the Montclair Environmental Commission, emphasize active mobility. You all have created the Vision Zero Task Force, which I actually appreciate. But given how long the wait has been and the urgency of the climate crisis, I want to just step up and say, I hope you will continue to make this a priority for now and for the future councils. This is a climate policy. Reducing vehicle miles traveled by promoting active mobility is one of the most effective things the town can do to promote climate action. It's within our control, but it does require creating infrastructure around town to bring out the cyclists and walkers that are there. I bike around town regularly. I actually bike to work pretty regularly. And I can tell you, even with the basically non-existent bike infrastructure we have, adults and kids bike around pretty regularly. You see high school kids biking to school. You see people biking around. And this is, in fact, this not necessarily safe. I've also almost been hit a couple times coming out Claremont Avenue. So protecting people, making it safer and easier to bike, if you do that, they will come out, I promise you. I would also point out that according to census data, according to the SAFE plan, 10% of Montclair households don't have cars, and in the ward where I live, which is the 4th ward, that's 20% of households do not have cars. So for these households, making Montclair a bikeable and walkable city is essential. So for all these reasons, I urge you to keep pushing to develop a strong plan to not just reduce deaths, so obviously that's important, but actively promote biking and walking through changes to infrastructure such as street diets, protected bike lanes, bump outs, and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. We are here today to address the current status of Woodman Field. First of all, having to play at a field with Nishwain, that's 5 teams, including the Junior Mountaineers, which is the middle school team, all playing on one field, which is going to mess up a lot of schedules. And also at Nishwain, there's increased risk of injury, which I personally have felt when in 2022, due to it being poorly maintained, I sprained my MCL while playing, and there was overgrown grass. A turf field would be easier to maintain than a dirt field, and it would help improve player safety. And nobody wants to lose baseball at Woodman Field, so please make sure this project moves forward, and thank you. William Black.
Hello, Council. My name is Roman Harsh. I'm a freshman at Montclair High School and plan to play baseball this spring. I'm here with some friends who also play baseball. Practice starts on March 11th and opening day is April 1st. I know that work started to improve Woodman Field, but nothing has happened in the last 3 weeks. I started a petition with other players at to get Woodman Field ready for the spring season. It went out this weekend, and we already have more than 1,000 signatures. It started as a baseball players, other student athletes, and their friends. Now many supporters around town have also signed on. Baseball to us is not just a game, but also a way of being on a team and bringing together families. This is not just about seniors who will play their last season this spring. It's also about the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors who play baseball. It's also about track and field kids who have no place right now, and younger baseball players who want to play in high school in the future. It's also about the families who get together around baseball. Please get this field done so we can have a spring season. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lisa Stolberg, another Montclair baseball mom. I spoke at the last council meeting, and tonight I'm reading this speech on behalf of Jasmine Hadari, who's the author of these comments. She's a Montclair resident and a junior Mountie, and Montclair Little League baseball mom who couldn't be here in person today and gave me permission to read on her behalf. So on Jasmine Hadari's behalf, I want to read something that many of you and most residents have never seen. It's on the wall of Montclair High School. It's not loud or splashy, but a small, modest piece of paper. It's titled Fundamentals of Montclair Baseball, and it reads, "Take responsibility for your thoughts and actions. Commit to a mission. Know why you play baseball, what character traits you want to possess, and what you want to accomplish in the game. Make your daily actions consistent with your mission. Play one pitch at a time, confident and focused on each pitch as it is played with disregard for past or future pitches. Focus on the process of playing the game rather than the outcomes of your performance. Realize that you can't control what happens around you, but you can control your response to it, and you must be in control of yourself before you can control your performance. Develop your mental skills so that you consistently perform near the best of your ability and have something to go to when faced with adversity. Practice what you are going to do in a game. Learn each day. Keep it simple." We took a picture of this and read it aloud to our kids. We said, "Kids, this isn't just about baseball, this is about life. In this one small, simple document are enormous life lessons that can have an extraordinary impact on your life. If you think this field is just about baseball and the consequences of the town's actions right now are not a big deal, you're wrong. This isn't just about baseball, but about the value the sport brings to our youth and the life lessons it teaches them that makes them into better people. And the last thing our athletes should have to worry about while trying to learn these lessons is unnecessary, dangerous playing conditions. None of these student athletes should have to play on these unsafe fields for even one more season. But now the question is not just in what condition they will have to play, but where will they play? We are all watching. My son, who loves baseball and plays on Woodman Field in the fall, is watching. My 8-year-old daughter plays baseball because, as she puts it, why would she play softball when girls are perfectly capable of playing baseball? She is watching. The rise of Little League in Montclair has broadened the excitement, access, and diversity of baseball to the community, with hundreds of kids playing this spring. They are watching. The seniors on the MHS baseball team, most of whom will be eligible to vote in the spring elections, are watching. And more importantly, parents and students across the community that believe in the power athletics have well beyond the field are watching. We're all watching to see where the township's priorities lie, especially when a vast majority of residents voted in favor of the field renovations, the scope of which were clearly stated in the BOE presentations in March of 2022 to include moving the field, expanding the size of it, and making it turf. The last-minute stalling of the project that will now cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars so far seems to send the message that you're not listening to a majority of your constituents. I'll end with the first line of the fundamentals of Montclair baseball. Take responsibility for your thoughts and actions. What a great lesson. Let these kids play ball. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Good evening. I'm Richard Ullman. I live at 190 Alexander since 1996, and I'm here to talk about Woodman Field and what is seemingly now a case study in dysfunctional process in local government. I was here 2 weeks ago today when dozens of students and parents came before this body and implored you to do something about the construction that has been unceremoniously stopped. Tonight I have 4 points to make. 1, thank you all for your service to the township. Yes, you must think this is a thankless task, especially tonight, but for all of you, it's one you signed up for, campaigned for, and were elected to represent the interests of Montclair as a whole. But I didn't come here tonight to thank you. Number two, I came here tonight to implore you, again, to do something, to keep your word from 2 weeks ago, and work together to resolve this mess. At that time, we were told the sole issue was a permit to tap into the water lines. And the very next day, I'm told the board's contractor showed up to resolve that permit, but was told then there's also an issue with the new fence. Seriously, somebody's willing to go to bat and stand in the way of progress for that ratty silver fence that surrounds Woodman Field like a penitentiary. We can do better. Was this process perfect? No. But let me quote Churchill, "Perfection is the enemy of progress." And for such a progressive town, this is hardly progress. Number three, legal proceedings. We've heard a lot about that. But legal proceedings shouldn't be the reason you're not working together as a body and with the Board of Education to get a solution. This isn't a game to be played as we choose sides and decide, may the best lawsuit win. Last I looked, we're all Team Montclair. The more legal wrangling that happens, the longer those mountains of dirt sit as an embarrassment to every single Mountie, past and present. Even more so when the spring sports season begins and the baseball, track, lacrosse teams, and more will stare at them, and they will lament a season down the drain. We're not asking you to skirt the law or to look the other way. We're simply asking you to use the law as fence posts to guide what should be a simple four-word objective. Let the kids play. My fourth and last point is that I speak these words not for myself, but on behalf of every student in that high school. One of them started a petition, he was here, directed at you, and they've garnered more than 1,000 signatures in 5 days. With effort, I'm sure that number will rise. It will soar. You see, this isn't just a baseball issue. It's a community issue. There are a lot of people watching. It's your time to step up to the plate and do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I just, Mr. Polo, just a quick question. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I did see the comment about there was something about a fence. What is the reason why we're in this situation right now? Or is this in the courts? What is it? Because to me, this is really a Board of Education. It's their field, and between planning and zoning, all things, I'm just trying to get clarity because honestly, I haven't been around for over 3 weeks. And so what is the current situation?
The current situation is there was a stop work order that was issued because of a connection to a pipe, and there was also an issue with the height of the fence, and I would have to disagree with the gentleman in terms of what the contractor did or did not do. We did have a meeting, Township Council and I had a meeting with the Superintendent of Schools and his attorney last week. It lasted about 2 hours, trying to find a path forward here. As I stated, and we have another meeting scheduled for Thursday. I'm not sure if it's going to happen because we are in court Friday afternoon on this litigation, on the order to show cause, where there was an agreement made that no further action will be taken in terms of the project on either side until we go to court on Friday. And as I explained last time, there is a legal issue in terms of what the process has to be. The Board of Education did file a lawsuit against us in return with an order. We had a return date of the order to show cause set, and that's Friday afternoon. So hopefully the court will give us some guidance. There is also a third party called the Champlain. Is that the street of Champlain?
Champlain Terrace.
Champlain Conservancy, which I believe is a group of neighbors who oppose the project, who have asked to join this litigation. And I can't predict what the judge is going to do, but in these situations, They usually allow that to happen. So I don't know what's going to happen on Friday. You know, we are working closely with the Board of Ed, trying to resolve whatever we can. And as I said then, we can, if we decided to let this construction move ahead, this group of people are going to move forward, file a lawsuit, and we're going to be back exactly where we were on day one. So we are both sides working very hard, trying to resolve this. None of us want this to go on. And hopefully after Friday, we can move on.
So so there's the hearing Friday,
Yes.
and then for the matter of the matter of the connection to the water line, has that been taken care of?
There's that and the fence issue, but since the return date was set and both parties agreed that, you know, the court ordered us not to do anything to enforce anything, and it was agreed to that the other side, that the Board of Education would not continue with construction until we were before the judge, which I think is pretty standard in litigation. So the judge can, you know, make a decision, and hopefully after Friday, we'll know where the judge is going with this. He'll order a temporary order or not, which perhaps will allow construction to proceed, and he may deal with the zoning issue later. I don't know.
Right.
But that's where we are, and hopefully in a couple of days, we'll know something definitive.
I just want to get some clarity. So
Sure.
Judge makes a decision. Let's say the judge says they can go forward. Does the connection to the water then become an issue?
No, then we'll resolve all of those issues with the contractor and get it started.
Okay, so and then that's including the fence
Yes,
issue
all those
as well.
issues can be resolved. Once the judge
Makes
says
a
we can
decision.
move or do whatever, we'll resolve everything, yes.
And then it becomes a matter of the Champlain Terrace residents. What is their issue?
I know they were initially opposed to the removal of the trees, and I know there were some environmental issues they're raising. I can't speak for them, but they, it's my understanding, some of them have organized, and they're called the Champlain Conservancy.
Right.
And they are looking to be part of this litigation.
So then full transparency, and I'm sorry, I just want to, so regards to that point of I believe what the body has heard is concern about water runoff from these fields, these turf fields with PFAS getting into our water wells has been one of the things that at least the emails from the folks seem to be this. So, question was put to Mr. LaPola, to Gary Abzarni at Waterperson, to get testing done to determine whether or not PFAS actually gets to our water well that determines what water goes to our houses. Because what I didn't realize, and he told me, so essentially we're going to try to test Woodman Field and Watchung, and this has been a great time to do it because it's raining, to determine how much PFAS, if any, is getting to the water level, to take that off of the issue. Because if it comes back, if the testing comes back and shows that there's no PFAS that's getting into our water, that comes into our homes, I think that removes that obstacle, because it seems we got multiple obstacles here. One being fence, water, stop water, and then the environmental. And I don't know of any other environmental concerns other than water that's been presented to us. Do you?
That's what I'm aware of.
All right, so I just want to make sure.
Note the emails that I've
Right.
seen, don't just note those contaminating the water supply. They talk about soil and other
Yeah,
pieces.
Right, but it all comes to the soil being contaminated based on
Yeah.
the field, so we
I
need
think there
to.
were lead
just
issues
noting.
raised. Yeah.
Right,
Ask
what
the
I'm saying,
question.
but like Mr. Abzarni said, and I wish we had done this a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't. But the point is, I think it's imperative on us, because that's the part that impacts us, is that, if you look at, we don't want to contaminate our water supply. But we want.
I'll just note, Councilman, and thanks to Mr. Abzarni, years before the state started requiring us to filter, including to filter out
Right.
all of these chemicals, we have been.
Right.
We have budgeted significant dollars for the filters over the years, the building of those systems. So quite frankly, they better not be in our water supply, because we are currently filtering them out.
No, but spoke to Gary and flat out said he doesn't know, because we've never tested for PFAS off of these fields.
Yeah, agreed.
So he's going to the wells that are connected to these fields, and literally, I don't want to speak, but bottom line is the PFAS could be at one level at 50 feet, and it may be gone at 100 feet, and where our wells are deep down. So it's just a matter of just, for those who are looking, who are from Champlain Terrace, everything, I just want to get that taken off the table. Because to me, that's the part that this council should be concerned about. The other part with the field, that's the Board of Education. And the part of the zoning and all that process, whether or not the process was, it just became crazy to me. But the environmental part is the one that I'm kind of like I think we need to get some answers to. And Mr. Zarni said he's got a firm that he feels, a third-party firm that can bring us back results after he does the initial testing. It takes 2 to 3 weeks. Sorry, I know you guys want to start baseball, but still, it seems like every other week there's another issue that comes up. And this is one I want to get rid of, so that then we're dealing with kind of like bricks and mortars. Hopefully the judge will make a decision that can allow us to make some decisions.
And respectfully, Councilman Cummings, not to put my lawyer hat on, but I'm going to.
You
Not
always
to
do.
take your thunder away, Mr. Vito or Mr. Burr, I see it in the back there. I don't think it takes it off the table, because given what I just heard about where the proceedings are currently,
Right.
that doesn't necessarily mean the judge is going to say, well, Montclair just came in with a test result, so that issue's off the table, because if what happens that Mr. Lapola said might happen, where you have the residents entering into the lawsuit, and I apologize to the player back
Right, I
there.
did too.
We will, he started it though, but we're going to get you up here. Then it's not going to get off the table, because the residents are going to come in and say, well, we have our expert who tested it and it's X. It's
Right,
classic
so-
litigation. Unfortunately, I wish it was that simple, but I have other questions that I'm going to ask Mr. Vito and Mr. Burr, but I'm going to let the gentleman speak first, because he's been very patient, so please.
And I just want to find out that we won't have the results before Friday.
We definitely
So
won't have
we
them before
won't know,
Friday,
but the
but I'm
point
just
is-
saying, even if we had them, it's not going to matter to the judge.
But, right, I'm not talking about the judge, I'm talking about us.
I know, but you're saying you want to take it off the table. It ain't coming off the
Because
table.
as far as I'm concerned, I can have a position.
No, you can have a
If-
position. I'm
and-
not trying to take it,
Right,
David, but you said about
exactly.
taking it off the table, and this lawyer just said, it ain't coming off the table. It's not that easy. I wish it was.
And one of the things
Let's get this young gentleman to
Sure.
come up, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Lacy.
How's it going? I'm Derek Lacey. I'm a senior. I play soccer and baseball at the high school. So I just want to reiterate what Roman started on and Mr. Ullman just touched on. Over the weekend, I think on Friday, Roman started a petition, and it was sent out to pretty much a lot of student athletes at the school, and it's already gotten over 1,000 signatures, a lot being students and student athletes at the high school. So one of the most fun things about playing at Woodman, and I think we all know the problems with the old Woodman field, but probably the most fun thing in my point of view is the lacrosse team, the boys lacrosse team walked past Woodman every day to get to practice and games, to get to watching, and the girls lacrosse team played on the other side. So every day something was going on. If the boys lacrosse team had a game, we were hyping them up as they walked by. If we had a game, they were hyping us up. So it's a lot of fun playing at Woodman with all the teams around, and it's a really good community, and I think that's really important. And it emphasizes that, I mean, obviously, while this field's going to impact us more directly, other student athletes and families want to get this done. And I think it's important for the community to have a lot of teams near each other and supporting each other. And obviously, if we're at Nishwain, that's not going to really happen as much. We won't be able to be getting yelled at by our coach for watching the girls lacrosse games during practice, or the getting distracted by the boys lacrosse team coming by. But yeah, I think what's really important is, obviously this is a field that we want to get done, but it's also something that's going to help build community and help student athletes and students get closer. And yeah, I think that's the biggest point that's important. Thank
Well
you.
said. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. Eric D'Amato, 25 Norwood Avenue. Again, collegially, I would like to push back on something that happened at the last meeting when several of you were not here. In executive session, 2 new members of the planning board were installed, and many people that I've talked to in the community of land use and development and stuff were quite put off by this, and I know Councilor Russo is not here, was also very much. 2 things happened. One, 2 very experienced and knowledgeable people with deep roots in the community and profound knowledge of that business were replaced by people seemingly without anything approaching equivalent knowledge and roots, one of whom, I will just say, seemed to be mostly qualified by being a political professional, sort of a political spin doctor. I won't say anything bad about that person. I don't know them. But people in this business were not happy about this, and I've talked to several. The process was not good. It was a 4-vote situation out of 7, missing people. It was done in the dark. There was never any public hearing of these people. I know that that's not normally done, but it should be. If you're going to put somebody on a board, have them answer a few questions in public. It also robbed us of the ability to have the perspective of some of our counselors who really know this stuff. And I will actually toot the horn of my first ward counselor, Mr. Herlock, who I know, and when I was talking to people in the last couple of weeks about this, said was a very knowledgeable person. So you have 4 months left. If we're going to have another set of appointments, can we not do them in the dark with only 4 votes or a few votes and bring everybody in, ask some questions? Like I like to say, you know, it's never too late to start doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comment. Appreciate that. And Mr. LaPola, I think you did, speak to the field issue. If there's anything else you'd like to add, I know I wanted to get back to that gentleman who's there, but if there's any other pieces, I think you did speak to it, obviously, with the councilor's questions. Okay.
I'm done.
Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Okay for me to go now on a
Yes,
couple
please.
more?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was not at the last meeting, so I didn't hear a lot of the speakers, but I did watch it at some point, and I did get a lot of comments and emails and text messages and telephone calls and notes and magic marker and crayon and whatever. So I need to, and I see you came up, Mr. Burr, so I thank you for that. I know you had a commitment this evening. Thank you for coming. What I would really like to know, and I think I know the answer, what is our authority as council members here? Because we have several people coming up, and the baseball players, and I feel for you all, by the way, for sure. I played third base and center field once upon a time. I had a higher batting average than Mr. Cummings, who's younger than me, actually, but we don't want to talk about that right now.
You should have a better batting average than I, because I didn't play baseball.
See? He didn't make, what he doesn't tell you all is he didn't make the cut, okay? But
No, that's not true. But
anyway, Mr.
you started this. I'm going to finish.
All right, do it. Now,
So now
it's just a friendly conversation, David. It's not personal, but go ahead.
It's just funny. I got an email the other day with the picture of the 1984 All Essex County football team, and you know whose name was on that? Not Bill Herlock.
Well, I hope he wasn't, because Bill Herlock was in Somerset County at a
Where
much
he was
bigger school,
first.
which was Watchung Hills Regional High School. I know some of you have heard it, which was bigger than
I think
Montclair
that's-
High School in number of people, and a lot harder to make varsity teams.
Mr. Deputy Mayor,
Mr. Cummings.
what's your question?
Lot
I'm
of
gonna, but he keeps going. Anyway,
you
Mr.
started
Burr.
this, Mr. Terry.
what-
You're going to let him get away with this, thinking that Watchung Hills is better than Montclair High, the winningest program in the state of New Jersey at the highest level of the state of New Jersey?
I'm going to just let you finish, because I do
Baseball
want to get
players.
to
Y'all gonna
this.
let him
These
talk
people
about
are waiting.
MHS like that? Stand
ahead.
up. Watchung Hills.
He didn't make the, he never made the cut. He never made the cut. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Burr, I made the mistake of actually supporting.
Don't engage me.
You did.
Oh, I'll engage you. You want to engage? Now you're throwing the gauntlet down. Now I'm not going to stop.
That's it, dope.
Mr. Burr. Mr. Cummings, may I continue? Can you please explain to us, because I'd love to know, and I know some of my colleagues and I have spoken about it, what is our authority here as council members with this particular issue? I'd like to know, because these people are coming up and they're asking for redress. I empathize with them. What's so funny? I don't think it's funny at all, actually.
I'm not chuckling at that. I was just chuckling at the point that you made earlier, that I did have a prior commitment. And since we have a host of Montclair High School student athletes here.
And I appreciate you doing
they
it.
all, I
His
don't
son
they all
did
know
well
that I
tonight.
also went to Montclair.
I know his
High
son
School.
did well. I'm following you
Class
too. Jesus,
1982.
David.
But your classmates had a fencing meet tonight at the state semifinals, and unfortunately, their gallant effort fell short. So I let you guys know, but they fought hard, and my son is on that fencing team.
I know that,
Okay,
actually. I saw that.
So
We
just to
discussed it.
report
So-
that's where I was, and I apologize that I was late to the meeting, as my father-in-law was giving me grief for coming to the meeting and leaving the fencing meeting. To respond to you, Mr. Hurlock, we did have this conversation at the last meeting, and I'm sure you heard it when you watched the meeting.
Actually, it wasn't very well done, I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm asking it again,
Okay.
but.
So the council does not have any influence over the process relating to the stop work orders and the permits that are issued by the township. So what influence the council would have over the process is very little. You would be getting updates from the law department, township attorney, assistant township attorney on the litigation and how it's moving forward. So I hope that answers your question.
Much better, yes. So legally, we can't just wave a magic wand and say, don't worry about the fence, don't worry about the pipe hookup, whatever the issue is. We don't have that authority.
No, you don't have that authority.
Okay. That's what I thought. I thought that was the answer, but I just wanted to clarify. And I hope everyone out there heard that. We are with you, believe me. Many of us were athletes once upon a time. Some of us better than Mr. Cummings, but I'm not going to go there again.
I think you kind of
But
did.
we can't, did I just do it? I'm sorry, Mr. Cummings.
I got receipts.
But we just want to let you know that we appreciate you coming here, but it's not falling on deaf ears, okay? This isn't like the Council of Tyrants that we can just go through Montclair and change things as we would like. Believe me, some of us wish we could. And again, we empathize with you all. And I'm sorry, the season's around the corner and this hasn't been resolved yet. I respectfully think this is a Board of Ed issue, which I think Mr. Cummings had just said and has been alluded to earlier. And that's really where it lies. I wish, I know. Okay, Mr. Burkett.
All right,
Wait.
sure.
Whoa, you didn't elect me to be a tyrant, sir, that I can just come through town and do whatever you want.
Influence as opposed to authority.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
Mr.
no problem.
But I'm tired of this. We've
still
listened to
have,
this for 4 years.
we'll still
Thank
have-
you, Mr. Burr.
Thank you.
welcome,
I'll say this,
Councilman
Councilman Terry has a comment to make, and I'll simply just note before you do, Councilman, if you don't mind, real quickly, I'll say, because we did address this last time, specifically, especially when it comes to violations or anything like that, just as it would be a parking ticket or any other violation, we have no ability to dismiss one such as that. It does have to go through the proper processes and channels legally. That is there for everyone's protection, residents and ours as well. That said, as you heard from the manager, working expeditiously to make sure any and all issues are resolved that would stand in the way. Judge hearing this shortly and hopefully can move forward on whatever path is presented there, and we'll be well positioned to do that at that time. But that's what we have the ability and authority to do, and appreciate you making sure you're on it. Councilman Terry.
I just wanted to mention also that the track team is affected, and my granddaughter actually plays on the track team. She is a shot putter, and I hear it personally, like, when is this going to get done? And it's nice. We're doing the best that we can. As you heard, it's in litigation. So hopefully that something will come up soon and you'll be able to move forward. I can only imagine, being a senior right now, how difficult that is. You wait all your life to play, to be a Mountie and play on the field, and then something like this happens. So, yes, we feel it with you also, us that have gone, like Dave and Paul and myself that have gone to Montclair High School. My dad and mom went to Montclair High School. So, we're Mounties all the way, but, unfortunately, it is in litigation now, and hopefully that something will be moved forward sooner than later.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, with that, I'm going to move that we go into executive session. So I move Resolution R-24-067 as is printed in the document with all the reasons listed around update on litigation and personnel matters. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. We're going into executive session. We'll take a 5-minute break. Everyone can use Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
We are out of executive session. Councilwoman?
I'd like to make a motion that that the council reappoint Jennifer Ortero to the Civil Rights Commission.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, Madam Clerk, anything?
No report, Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Manager?
I just want to say our new,
Can you turn on your microphone?
Almighty. By July, I'll get that right. I just wanted to say, you got an email today that our new Director of DCS, Austin Ashley, has started.
Okay.
And he came back for the second day, which is always a good sign around here.
That's a good sign. Very good. Attorneys?
Nothing to report from me, Mayor.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Third Ward, Councilwoman Price Abrams?
I have nothing further to report, thanks.
Fair enough. Councilman Terry?
No, nothing to report.
Councilwoman Schlager?
Nope, I'm good.
Mr. Deputy Mayor?
In the interest of consistency, I have nothing either, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I will just simply say this, had the opportunity to be down at the governor's budget address today and listening to a lot of the things he had in there, including accessory that's it. Accessory dwelling units, the fiscal management that we've seen and we've done. It felt a lot like he was trying to copy what we've been doing here. So, right. But I just want to note a lot of good things that were there that I had to be smiling about for here. So, with that, good news. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. All in favor? Aye. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.